All right, so I'm at JKIA in Nairobi. We did a thing where we bid it on an upgrade with Kenya Airways. We bid it the day of for first class and we got selected, so I'll show you what that looks like. One of the perks of business class is being able to check in with Sky Priority, which is a separate line, and there's also a separate line for Sky Priority in the TSA line. And you have access to the Pride Lounge, which you can also access this lounge in Kenya if you have Priority Pass. At first it started out empty, but it filled up pretty quickly. The food was decent, however, it did take a while for the food to come out as it was being changed, so oftentimes you'd see people waiting in line for the food, but there was no food on the buffet. You do have access to limited drinks and then alcoholic drinks. There's certain liquor and certain wine available. This particular aircraft had recliner seats and it was a lot of room. We also received a meal on the flight as well. Okay, so let's talk about my experience on Kenya Airways. It was my first time flying on Kenya Airways, which is surprisingly to me a part of the Sky Team, which is an association of different airlines, including Delta, Air France, KLM. We booked the flight about 2 months ahead of time. It was a one-way flight from Nairobi to Dar es Salaam, and we were going to spend some time there and then go on to Zanzibar and then come back home to the States. The ticket we purchased included the baggage and everything. We started getting emails maybe 2 weeks ahead of time saying bid on first class, and that's something I hadn't seen in a while. Maybe I've seen that a long time ago, but it started out saying bids of $250 or more have a better chance of being accepted. And I'm like, yeah, no thanks. It's an hour or so flight and whatever. After we checked in, we got an email. We had already decided we were going to get to the airport early. The hotel thankfully allowed us to check out at 5 p.m., but our flight was 11 something at night. You typically pay $50 to get in the airport lounge because I only have access to certain lounges and I didn't have access to the lounges that were there. The Pride Lounge, it's a part of the Priority Pass, but I no longer have the Priority Pass. We ended up bidding. I noticed that I could now change the slider to the minimum of 50, and I just said we would pay 50 to get into a airport lounge anyway, so let's see what happens when I bid 50 each. And a few hours later, I'd gone on about my day. I forgot I actually bidded on it. I had turned off my syncing of my email, just trying to save my data while traveling. I got an email saying that you've been upgraded. And so got an acknowledgement of that. And then I never got the email about like new seat numbers. But once I got back to my computer, I was able to log in and see like my seat had been changed with Kenya Airways with the first class. This particular aircraft, one, because it was a short flight, wasn't the Dreamliner beds, but we did get the reclining seats. Got access to the airport lounge, which was free food, free drinks, alcoholic drinks, and you get the Wi-Fi, you get to have comfortable chairs. Plugs were scarce there, but they actually had beds in the airport lounge, showers. The food was decent. It did take a while for things to come out, so they're trying to cook it as quick as possible. One thing, it was Sunday late at night, so maybe that's why. Now, this is my first time flying on Kenya Airways, but I can't tell you how frustrated I was to learn, one, our flight was supposed to be at 11 something at night. We left the hotel about 6 to get there at 7, so we got there early, maybe 4 hours ahead of time. We thought 3 because it was an international flight, and so anyway, we got there early, and what annoyed me was while we were sitting there, they never sent a text, anything, and we had to ask what's up with our flight, because 1 minute it was showing that it was going to be boarding at XYZ time, and then it fell off the display board, and come to find out our flight was 4 hours delayed. Frustrated me a lot only because we could have stayed longer in Nairobi, did a few things. I would have ventured to say if I'd known, we could have stayed an extra night at that hotel and just checked out very early, because at this point we were looking at 3-4 a.m. that we're actually leaving, so we wouldn't have had to get to the airport to maybe 1 a.m. That frustrated me, and they just said we are having operational errors. They basically didn't have a crew. We got a little anxious because they were like, we might not actually leave at the time we say. It really threw off our schedule to the point where I need to make sure I buffer in an extra day around travel days, because you never know what can happen. But that threw us off. We were going to have a tour that morning and we had to push it back. We ended up not being able to go on a tour. And plus we didn't get to the hotel room till maybe 8 a.m. So we slept till 1 p.m. and missed out on the destination. We weren't in Dar that long before we went on to Zanzibar. Definitely frustrated with that lack of communication. And then when I started to look on social media, I see a lot of complaints about social media. There are people posing as Kenya Airways employees. It wasn't a good experience. I tried to follow up in regards to this delay. Their process was send an email. I have not got a response yet. We're approaching probably a month. When I tried to call, it went in a loop. When I tried to call, it was very hard to understand. The line was staticky. And then they had a support contact online on social media, and that account hadn't posted since last year, and you weren't able to send them messages. They had messages turned off. And also something like you could only mention them if they were following you. It was something crazy, and I'm just like, they have not made it easy for you to get in touch. And that's why I said earlier I was shocked it was a part of Sky Team, because I'm used to Delta being able to get in touch with someone, and if there's an issue, they're a little more on top of it, sending you texts or getting alerts in the app. So I don't know why they even bothered taking my contact information down. They didn't notify us, and that's my experience on Kenya Airways. But the upgrade for $50 was definitely worth it. It might have been a little bit more worth it if I wasn't so annoyed. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more travel news and travel tips and travel hacks.